Today's tip of the week is what to look out for when buying foreclosures. One thing about foreclosures in Canada is when a bank or a lender finally puts one of these properties on the market, the person paying the mortgage is behind, it goes into foreclosure through the courts and all that, they cannot put it on for less than market price or market value. So what you hear about these properties, a $500,000 property going on to the market for $200,000, that would be American stories coming up from the States.
Yeah, setting the expectations there, because some people think they can get a screaming deal. Normally the deal is there because of the state of the property. So Tim, what else is going on with foreclosures?
Yeah, so the number of foreclosures that we see out there, let me just get this right going here. There we go. So the actual number of foreclosures that we see in the market today is actually very, very low. If you look at us compared to it's Great Britain and the United States, Canada's number is down here on the bottom. This is the number of properties number of mortgages in Canada that are at least 3 months behind on their payments. So they're not even in foreclosure yet. They're just 3 months or more behind in their payments. And we're at 0.25%. That is a minuscule number of properties that are underwater. The States, it's over 1.5%. That's a bigger number because it's a bigger country. So that, it translates into a huge number of mortgages that are underwater. And Britain is about 0.75%. So it's very low there as well. We wanted to put, let me just get more people in here. We wanted to put this graph out there to show you the reality of the amount of foreclosures out there. It's not like we come across them every single day. They're just not there.
Yeah, so the foreclosures, I was in one on the weekend. There was over 50 people through this foreclosure. The tenants did a runner, it looked like. They put the taps on, it froze all the hardwood on the main floor. You could tell the hardwood was all warped, the walls were warped. And you know what, this was basically a teardown. In the realtor description, he said either knock it down or, you're going to have a lengthy renovation. And so the pros and cons of buying a foreclosure is that you have to remember you're buying the property as is, meaning the day you get the keys, not the day you see it, there may be items in there or there may be items that are taken away. And we've seen this, we've sold many foreclosures and bought many foreclosures over the years, but you don't know what you're getting. You don't know what you're walking into. We've seen owners take out appliances, take out light fixtures from their homes when they're leaving, and they have their rights to do that, and no one can come after them because you're buying the property as is. The other thing that you really have to look out for is the conditions. Sometimes there isn't enough time to have conditions. Sometimes if the foreclosure is on the market for a long time, you can go in, you can get your condo docs. Normally, if it's in a condo, you're paying for your condos. Normally, the seller pays for that, not in a foreclosure. And if there's enough time, you can run a home inspection. But right now, with such little foreclosures out there, or amount of foreclosures out there, there is no time to have conditions. And normally, the offers are going to a judge to get presented, and the best offer gets accepted, meaning the highest deposit. If it's got conditions, it normally just gets thrown out right now. So no condition offer. And then the close date. They want it wrapped up pretty quick if it's empty. Now, some foreclosures, Tim, if there's tenants in there, you have to wait for them to get out as well.
Yeah, there's all kinds of conditions that the judges have to go by. You can't just kick tenants out. You can't really just kick homeowners out either. They have a specified possession date usually, and they make a deal with the owner to get out at that time. Now, back to this graph, the next one we want to look at is the actual numbers. So that 0.25% of foreclosures in the country, in the whole country, that's just over 12,000 properties that are at least 3 months behind in their mortgage payments. If you look at Alberta, it's right at the national average, 0.25, but that translates into under 1,500 properties that are 3 months behind in their mortgage payments. Now, that doesn't even say they're in foreclosure yet. There are, even if someone's 3 months behind in their payments, banks give them time to actually make up those 3 months payments. If they make that up, they're good again, and they can just keep paying their mortgage. So this is not even the number of foreclosures in Alberta. But if you look at that, you can tell why Azad and I aren't really promoting a ton of foreclosures, because not a lot come across our desk.
Yeah, and so we really want to talk about the good and bad foreclosures out there. A lot of our investors come to us thinking they're going to get a deal. Sometimes we would rather just go get a property on the market and get it for a good value than get a foreclosed property. And when we're talking good and bad, Tim and I have bought the cheapest foreclosure in Calgary, which was $100,000 in.
It was less than that. I think it was like 97,000.
In red carpet, it was called,
Yeah.
right? And then we've bought one of the most expensive foreclosures in the city in Elbow Valley for 2.5 million. So we've been on both ends, and it's the same structure of buying. You know, you have to put your application in or your offer, and then you have to sit and wait to see if it gets accepted. Now, when we're talking about good or bad, it really comes to the level of renovations done or the quality of property you're getting into. Some of these properties are really, really damaged. We've bought foreclosures that, you know, people would just couldn't afford to live there, and they've moved out and kept it exactly how they've had it for 30 years. One of them was Julian's out in Silver Springs. He bought a beautiful property there. We got there, we opened up, and it was exactly what we saw. Now, other properties, and Tim, out of 10, what would you say how bad the foreclosures are on the ones we've bought? Normally you get what you see.
Yeah,
right?
normally you see it on the pictures, that's what you get. Some foreclosures we don't even have access to, so it's a surprise when we go in and look at the thing. So it's a mixed bag what you get with foreclosures. So you really have to do your homework, do as much due diligence ahead of time, which is pull the title, make sure you know who owns the property, that the bank really is in possession of it. Even go and talk to neighbors and see what the people were like when they were living there, whether the tenants, are they clean, do they do their yard work, stuff like that. You have to do as much legwork ahead of time before you even put that offer in.
Yeah, and one thing, I know Danielle's coming up soon with the mortgage market update, but one thing, you have to make sure you can get a mortgage on the property.
Yeah.
That is key as well. You can't just go out there and think you're going to get a mortgage. And Tim was just talking about titles. Whatever is on that title, once you take possession of that property, that title is free and clear. So, everything gets wiped off. It doesn't matter how much money they owe on taxes or contractors or on their mortgage. That title gets free and clear, and it is your property. That is our tip of the week on foreclosures. If you haven't seen our tips of the week, subscribe to Crew TV on YouTube. It's free, and you get wonderful tips about investing in real estate here in Calgary.